Hi, folks. Thanks for joining us. My name is Lene. I'm a communications associate with Rethink Media's Peace and Security team, and this is my colleague.
Hi, I'm Haley Savino. I'm a communications associate with Rethink's Democracy Collaborative. We're so excited to be here with you again, folks, to give you a little demo of how to use our new platform, Muck. And Lene is going to kick us off.
Yeah, so just to share a bit about Muck, it's a kind of a media database where you can find media contacts, create media lists, and news releases, and pitch emails and track coverage. Before we move on, I just want to emphasize that Muck is a really big media database. There are thousands and thousands of contact on the database, and you should not, I repeat not, try to email all of them. The best way to use Muck is to find the 5 to 10 reporters who might cover your news conference or your report and talk with them. So yeah, with that, I think we're going to get into kind of demoing how to use Muck. So I'm going to share my screen. Alrighty. So just going to take you through kind of a general overview of Muck as a media database. So up here at the top is our dashboard, and the first thing we have here is the actual dashboard. So this is kind of where you can, we'll click on People for the American Way just to show you. The dashboard is a way to customize what you see in Muck, and it allows you to add widgets to track the information that we'll talk about in this training. We're not going to review dashboards in this training today, but if you have questions on how to use this feature, you can reach out to our team, our Muck contact page, or use the help feature at the bottom right page. So going back to the homepage, we also have our media database up here. And so this is also what you're seeing here as well. And this is essentially the meat of Muck where you'll do a lot of your searches for people, for articles, media outlets, and more on topics that you're looking for. We also have our relationships tab up at the top, and this is where you can create and find media lists, outlet lists, and where you'll send out your pitches and track activity with contacts in Muck. We also have the monitoring tab, and this is where you'll find your alerts, where you can track keywords and coverage in the news or on people as well. And then reporting is where you'll find the coverage reports that you create, and it also allows you to track analytics relevant to your work. Then we have resources. These are a lot of tips and tricks to amplify your Muck experience. And then we also over here have the Create tab. And this is kind of the one-stop shop for creating anything on Muck, whether that be the dashboard that we just talked about, media lists, outlet lists, pitch, contacts, and kind of more. You also have your profile right here where you can change some settings. You can also add some teammates as well. And then we have the Help Center right here. And there's this chat with us thing, and you can access it here, but it's also the chat is right down here where you can contact a Muck representative through Muck's page, and they'll get back to you pretty quickly. So that's just kind of a general overview of what your homepage looks like. And now we're going to get into a little bit more specifics, and I'm going to kind of go over this media database right here with you. The media database allows you to search by people, by articles, by media outlets, or by broadcast. And we flag this in the training, but for broadcast, we currently, this isn't part of our package. If you all want to send us an email, if you have interest in this broadcast, that would be great. So we can kind of assess if this is something that would be helpful for you all. Some additional features for the search, and Haley will go over kind of this advanced search right here, but you can also save a search that you do. You can do an advanced search, and then there's search help as well. And so if, say you are trying to search for a specific contact, you'll start on this main page and make sure that you already have the people tab selected up here. If you already have the specific contact's name, you'll type it into the by name or keyword search bar here. If you have any additional information about the contact, like maybe their outlet that they work for, their bio, anything else, there's more filters down here as well where you can add things in to kind of narrow that search down. You can add them in as well. Let's do a quick example. So I'm going to search for Dazzle Yoon, who is a reporter for the Wall Street Journal covering topics on the Korean Peninsula. And so if I type her name in here, I'm just going to click search. And it'll take us to the search page momentarily. There we go. And you'll see that Before we even click on her profile, we already have quite a bit of information. So, and options that we can do. So the first thing that you'll see here is the option to add her to a media list. And you'll see with this number 3 here that we already have her on 3 of our media lists. But if you're trying to add a contact that you find in Muck to a media list, you can click this and either create a new one or add them to one of our existing media lists. You also have the option to send a pitch. Right here. And in the same way with the media list, you can either create a new pitch or you can send it to a pitch that you've already created. There's also a few more options for ways to interact with this individual as well, whether that's through social media or kind of tracking some activity. So now if we click into her profile, it'll open a new tab, and on the contacts profile, you'll see that we have a lot more information about them. So in addition to her title, we also have the outlet, the location, and beat, and we also see where she's published in the past here. We see her contact information over on the right, which is probably the most useful information that we can find on the contact here. You'll also see that you have the activity that you have with a journalist, whether that's adding them to media lists, sending them pitches, anything like that. We also have the relationship owner here. So say one of your teammates has a relationship with a specific reporter. This is a good area to make note of that if you're pitching them, and you can bring that up in your pitch. You'll also see here that this shows the media list that they're in, but you can also add them to a new media list from here. And then down here, you can see that these are some recent articles that she's written, and this is where recent tweets would come up as well. So going back to this main search page, there's also options to filter the results that you see when you're looking for a specific person as well. So over on the left-hand side here, you can narrow your search down specifically to verified journalists who have these check marks right next to their names. So if I were to do that, it would help narrow down our search even more. Once it loads, there we go. And you'll see that Dazzle is still the top reporter since she is already a verified journalist. You can also specifically narrow it down to make sure that this word that you searched is either in the name of the person, their bio, titles, any of these options here. And so this is helpful when you're looking for a specific article to kind of narrow it down by that. You can also search by their bios and titles. So if you know someone's specific title with an organization, but maybe not their name, you can add that in here. You can search by their beat. So a lot of times I'm looking for opinion editors. So I would type an opinion here and that would pull up an opinion editor at a specific outlet. You can search by outlet types as well. So newspapers, podcasts, blogs, any of those things. And there's a lot of options here. You can also search by a specific media outlet. And you can exclude some media outlets too as well if you wanted to do that. And then there's a lot of other options too to kind of narrow that down. Back up at the top too. And a trick that I found, because when you do the select all initially, it only shows up for 25 unless you kind of scroll down and let this load a bit more. So just a trick. And you'll want to make sure that as you're kind of narrowing these things down, that you're looking through all of the names that are coming up and their kind of profiles to make sure that they're actually relevant to the search that you're putting together, whether that's a media list or an outlet list. But so you can select all, and you can also add whoever you want to this media list as well. Or you also have the option to collapse the results if you don't want to see all that additional information here. You can save your search too. So maybe you wanted to go back and look at Dazzle's information further, or if you're looking for specific articles or topics, this is a good way to kind of track that. You can also create an alert. So if I want to see any new articles that she's written, I can create an alert for her, and Muck can send me regular emails about the articles that she's putting out. And then there's this drop down bar to kind of further narrow down the scope of your search as well. And so you'll see too, you can also, if we select it over to articles rather than people, it'll pull up the articles that Dazzle has written, which is a really helpful trick. You wouldn't really click media outlets if you're searching a specific person. Okay, now that we've covered kind of trying to find a specific person, I'll show you how to find journalists generally by searching specific topic. So to do that, we're going to go back to the main page, and you want to put your keywords in the same search bar that we put the reporter's name in. So let's do a search for midterm elections. And say we're looking specifically for results for Georgia publications. So we would put our location here as Georgia, and then I'm going to click. Oh, and let's say we do this over the last 3 months, just to kind of help narrow that down a bit more as well. Otherwise, we might get a million results. Okay, so you'll see that we have, yes, so you'll see that we have about 117 results over the last 3 months of reporters who are reporting on this specific topic. And you'll see just in general that these results look pretty similar to when we just searched for a name. And the one difference that you might want to do, which I showed you earlier, is just to add them to a media list and make sure that you scroll down to get all those results to load. You can also kind of create alerts for people covering this if this is a topic that you want to continue to track, like I showed you earlier. And you can click across, just also like I showed you earlier with Dazzle, to see specific articles that are coming up on the same topic as well. Okay, and so now going back to the main page again, if you wanted to search for a specific article about a topic, you can do that as well. Just make sure you're clicked over to the article tab up here at the top. And so you're just going to enter whatever keywords, your date range, and then specify if you want that to appear in the headline or the article body. So we're going to do a search for anti-Asian hate. We'll also do that over the last 3 months to kind of narrow down our search. And I'm going to specify that I want it to appear in the headline, and I'll show you why I'm doing that once we get to the search page. So you'll see that we have about 262 articles coming up. I'm going to just click article body as well to show you that we get quite a few more results. So we have about 12,000 results compared to our 200 that we had before. So you want to make sure that you're being really specific with your searches to help narrow down the search results that you're getting so that they're most helpful for you. And so filters are a great way to do that. Considering where you want these search terms to appear is really helpful as well. So let's see. So once you've got the results filtered how you want them, and you can do that in languages, this looks pretty similar to when you're searching for a person. You can also specify your content type, whether that's online or in print, kind of scopes, and then domain. If you know a specific website that you want your article to be from, you can either include that, or if it's something that you make sure that you don't want included, you can exclude it as well. But once you have it filtered down to how you want it, you can select the articles that you want, and you can add them to a coverage report as well. So let's say we want the first 50 articles here, you can add them to a coverage report over here. If that's something that you're tracking that's helpful for your work, that's a really helpful way to kind of keep an eye on some topics that are coming up. You can also automate a coverage report, so continuing to get updates about this specific topic, the new articles that are added on that, and it'll just kind of continue to go into that coverage report that you've created. Yes. And then if you are searching for a media outlet, going back to the beginning again, you just click this tab over here, enter the outlet in as well. I'm just going to do a search for Wall Street Journal really quickly. And you'll see that they're the first one who comes up. And if you click on their profile, if I'm ever searching for an outlet, what I'm generally trying to find is people who work for that outlet specifically. So you can go into their profile and look at all of the journalists on Muck who are associated with Wall Street Journal. So that it might be reporters, it might be columnists for the outlet, but it's a really helpful way to kind of narrow those results down. So you see, we still have 1,000 people, so you'd want to continue to kind of filter that down a little bit more. But it's a really useful way to find specific reporters associated with an outlet. And I think that's kind of a general overview of the database. So I'm going to hand it over to Haley now to kind of go over relationships with you all.
All right, awesome. So now I'm gonna share my screen, folks. Sorry about that. Tongue twister. All right, so now that we've gotten that great overview from Lene, we're just gonna go over what I'm sure you're all curious about, how to actually create a media list within Muck. So to do so and to show you guys where those live, you'll go to the relationships tab up at the top, scroll down to media list, and you'll see here all the lists that Rethink staff and some of our partner organizations have already created or that we've uploaded on their behalf, all in here. If you wanted your list to be private, as you can see, there are many, many in here, but if you wanted your list to be private and have it exclusively for your team, all you'd have to do is just name that at the top here and select the private option. I will say though, it's great to keep your list open and shareable, as this database of lists that we have here, I think is a great resource for other teams, or even other teammates of your own. If you ever feel stuck and you're not sure, how to start on a new list, you can just scroll through here and look at some of the lists that we've created and other partners, to help get a little inspiration on the matter. So would recommend sharing is caring, but if you do want to make it private, again, just put that in the create folder tab. But just to search through here really quick, again, as you see, we have 686 lists, quite a few many. You'll just go up to the top search bar, search by name, and I'm going to select money and politics, a list that I created of all of the state reporters in this subject field. As you can see, again, this is a very wide list. These are state reporters from all across the nation, so lots to filter through here. If you wanted specific reporters from one state, you can just go to add filter and search by media outlet location. I'll just do Raleigh. All right, and then you can see here all of those reporters that pop up in Raleigh, some newspapers, TV, radio, etc. And if you wanted to add all of those reporters to a new media list that you're creating or one that you already have, all you have to do is just select all and add them to a media list like so. And as Lene showed you guys, once you click on it, you'll see that check mark. Or you can add to a pitch if you wanted to pitch all of these reporters. Just either select one that's been created or create a new one. Just type a name in, boom, bam. Pretty straightforward. So, okay. And now how to actually create a list from scratch. We're going to go up to this create button that Lene showed you guys earlier. It's always going to live up here, so very easy. Just click the create button and hit media list. And for the purposes of this, we're just going to do a test. I think I've created 100 test lists now, so I'm going to do test 3. Okay. And this is what will appear when you're creating a brand new list. You can either search for people or add a custom contact. You would only want to add a custom contact if you've already looked through Muck and don't see a specific reporter that you maybe already have a relationship with and their contact information within the database. If that's the case, you would just create add custom contact and put in all of this information here that you have. But for this purpose, we're just going to go to search for people. All right, and it's going to bring you right back to the dashboard. So for this, we're just going to, as an example, keep it simple, type in Judd Legum. Some of you might be familiar with him. All right, and as Lene showed you guys, just to reiterate, once you type in his name, he should be the first one to pop up if he is within Muckrak's database. So to add him, you can either click on his profile, which will pop up in a new tab. And again, you know, if you want to just triple check, you can always scroll down, read his latest. If his Twitter is connected, if they have his Twitter on file, you can look at his latest tweets, latest articles, etc. And you can add him here. Just click test 3. And once you see that check mark, excuse me, he should be added. But if you want to just double check, hit that widget. And as you can see, he has been added successfully. Another way to do so is to just check his name with that little check mark. And then super easy, you just add him, as Lene showed you guys over here. And already added him. Well, doesn't show up here, but there you go. Just check him again. Very straightforward, very easy. And yeah, and then he'll be on your list. Sorry, just gonna make sure I have everything. Okay, and then another way to search for people, I'm gonna go back to the dashboard. Excuse me, is to do, as Lene talked about earlier, try an advanced search. Advanced search is really great if you're looking for journalists in a field or a topic and you've never worked with them before, or you know, it's a new media hit, new news cycle, and you're not sure who would cover that topic. You can just type all of those terms up here. I am not a peace and security expert, so I'm going to search for a journalist that covers national security issues. And I'm trying to make it, excuse me, as specific as possible, just typing in lots of different terms that I think would be helpful in this topic. So once I've done that, just hit search. Once it loads, awesome. Then we'll see a bunch of journalists who've hopefully covered this topic as of late. As Lene talked about before, it's definitely best to do your own searching within this list that Muckrak pops out for you. As you can see, there's 379 people on here, quite a few many. And this first journalist that pops up, just from what Muckrak is showing us, wrote about these issues as of September of last year. So she might not still be on that beat. So just really important to click through these journalist profiles and just do the due diligence to make sure that they still are covering the work and the topics that you're looking for. But again, as was shown, this filter option on the side is really great. It really helps you narrow down the specific journalist that you would want. So if you're looking for maybe someone in the nuclear security space that has a podcast or a radio show, you can just type in podcast there, and then Muckrak will filter those journalists even further. And again, just scroll on through, look at the articles they've written, their tweets, etc. And once you're satisfied, as Lene showed you guys, you can either again check and add them to your list as so, or add them all if that is what you deem necessary. So yeah, so that's media list. Another way to create a list is by going to, at the top, we go back to our relationships tab, click outlet list. So outlet lists are great. They're a little bit more focused on a specific outlet, audience, or location, as you'll see from some of the list, minus all the tests that I've created. As you'll see from some of the lists that our teammates have created, they might be, again, focused on a specific audience. We've got a Spanish language outlet list or a specific location, an Oakland media list that we created for one of our partners in Oakland. So as before, very simple. You're just going to create new by hitting that create new button. Type in whatever name you want to title your new outlet list. Save that. And then as before, just click the search for media outlets button within your list, and it'll automatically bring you back to the dashboard with the media outlets tab open. And when doing this, I'm going to focus on a specific location. So you would just let me just show you again. I didn't name it. Show more filters button really helps narrow it down. And I'm going to go ahead and put in Portland, Maine. And once we search, awesome. As you can see, that'll pull up, should be all of the media outlets within Portland, Maine, TV, news, radio, etc. It'll also pull up some magazines. So again, just flagging, it's great to just double check all the outlets that come up just to make sure they're what you want. But yeah, that's another great way to do it. And then under the relationships tab, one of my favorite functions within Muck is pitches. As you can see here in Muck's pitches section, they have a lot of great extra add-ons that'll show you the open rate of your pitch. So if you send out a pitch or a press release, you'll see in here how many people have opened it, how many people have clicked on it, and any, maybe issues with sending that. And just to make clear, I didn't say it when I opened the pitches tab. This function can be used for any communications correspondence. So to send a pitch to a journalist or multiple journalists, or it can be used to send any communications material, a press release, a media advisory, anything you want to send to a journalist can be done within here. And I would highly recommend it, as you'll see in a second. It's very simple, straightforward, and super useful with all of this extra data it gives you. So to create a new pitch, we're going to just hit the create new button. This widget is going to be your best friend. Again, many tests later, I'll just put in that test 3 is my name. Okay. And for recipients, all you have to do is just click this add button. You can either select a whole media list. Again, if you are wanting to send like a press release or something to a list that you've created, or you would click single person if you're just pitching to one singular journalist. Generic contact is really for, again, a journalist that's maybe not within Muck's database, or perhaps if they're not technically a journalist, but there's someone that you want to reach out to, you can put their information in here and still send a pitch to them within Muck. But for this purpose, we're going to hit media list, and then you'll just scroll down to select your list. All of our lists are going to appear here, all 600. So it might take time, but as long as you know the name of it, it's pretty easy. I'm going to just select the broadcast reporters and bookers list that we have at the top there. Just click the add button. Obviously this is a big list, so Muck's a little concerned, but that's okay. We're going to hit okay. And yeah, and as you can see, all of those names will then pop up here. If you want to go through afterwards, if you know certain journalists on this list that aren't appropriate for the specific pitch that you're sending, you can go ahead and delete them off here by just hitting that trash can button, and it'll take them off of your list. Yeah, and then afterwards, once you've filtered down your list, you just hit next, and it'll bring you to the compose section. This is just as you would do within email, same thing. You're just going to create a subject line for your pitch or your email. Muck will auto-populate the name of all of the journalists on your list or singular journalists that you're emailing, so don't worry about that. And then if you've crafted your pitch or whatever press release in a different Google Doc or whatever, you can just copy and paste it in here. Or you can, as you see at the top here, there's lots of other ways to add links, images, etc. So yeah, so that's pretty straightforward. And then once you've composed your email, This is truly my favorite function within Muckrack, one that I do think differentiates Muckrack from other platforms. Once you've composed, you can also personalize your messages to journalists even further in this personalized tab. So if you have a relationship with maybe a few journalists on a list of 50 that you've worked with prior or communicated with in the past, you can just go ahead and search through at the top, find the person you want to write a specific message to, and then just hit this little pencil button and type in whatever message you want. You can just say, I hope you're doing well. Here is a press release. Really, I cannot say from one of our partners. Or whatever you'd want to say in there. And then once you're done, just hit the save button and you'll see the message to Nick has been personalized. And you can do that for as many journalists on your list as you want. So once you're done with that, just hit next step. And it'll bring you to the final review and send page. One thing that I would highly recommend before sending, especially if it's to a list, a large media list, is to do a test send first. Just in case there are any little errors or mistakes, you definitely want to catch that before you send to a very large list of journalists. Another great way to send, or great little add-on that Muckrack offers, is you can schedule your email to be sent later. I love doing this within Gmail as well. So Muckrack also gives you that capability. Just select the date that you want and the time at the top, and then set that, and it'll go ahead and schedule it for whatever time you have chosen. Or if you're sending it in the moment, last but not least, you just hit the send now button at the bottom, which we're not going to do because this is not a real pitch, but yeah, it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Yeah, and then lastly, on the relationships tab, I'm just going to show you guys the activity section. It's really just a general overview of who within our Muckrack account, Rethink staff and partners, has been active in the account and what they have been doing recently. For this purpose, it might be helpful if you're looking to see if a teammate has sent a pitch that you guys are working on together or created that list that they talked about. You could just search them in the created by bar. I'll just search Lene and we can see she did it. She's on it. She did the job. Awesome. So yeah. And then lastly, now that we've gotten a little insight on how to create press lists and pitches through Muckrack, we're going to end by showing you all how to set up alerts about individuals or organizations or topics related to the work that you do. Alerts are super helpful. And I know this is a function that other databases have. So I'm just going to show you Cision's alerts tab. So just go to monitoring at the top here, click alerts. All right. And you'll see all of the alerts that have already been set up by, again, Rethink staff and others. So this is where you would find your alerts too if you're going back into Muckrack and you maybe want to tweak or just check on that. If you think you made a mistake, this is where you would find them all. But for this purpose, we're going to create a new alert. So let's say I am interested in the New START treaty. Thank you to Lene for the subject. So the New START treaty is a bilateral nuclear arms control treaty between the US and Russia, just for reference. And once you've typed in the title, you can also go down to the sharing option. And as I showed you guys before with our press list and the folders within those, you can also make this alert exclusively to you or your teammates by just clicking the Only Me button. Or I misspoke. If you wanted to share it with other teammates, you can also just add them to the subscribers option here. So I'll add Lene. And then after that, you'll want to create a sending schedule for your alert. If this is like a rapid response issue that you've been following closely, you may want to set up alerts multiple times per day. So you can see that as an option within the frequency drop-down tab, once, twice, 3 times, etc. Or if that's not the case, you could probably err towards receiving the alerts like once per day, or on a specific day of the week. If you just wanted alerts every Monday, I've done that before, usually pretty helpful. Just click the specific day there. And then put in the time zone, all of those specific details there. And then most importantly, you'll want to identify some keywords about the topic that you're monitoring to enhance this specificity of your results. That word is always a tongue twister, but relevant. For our alert, we'll enter some additional keywords with the New START treaty. So we're going to put in as well, like Russia nuclear. Again, I clearly can't type. Nuclear treaty and US nuclear. Really just putting in as many relevant words, word or words as possible to narrow down your search, because if you don't do so, like Google Alerts, you're probably going to get a lot of unrelated content. So just try to be as specific as possible and put in as many other keywords into the keyword monitor tab here. And if just to get even more specific, if you want all of these words in every single search that Muck is searching for you, you want to put "and" in between the words with parentheses. Or if you want all of these words in separate articles, you'll just hit the "or." So if you could be any of these words in an article, Russian nuclear treaty, just put the "or" button. All right. And then you just scroll down even further to filter your alert even further. If you specifically want articles, just make sure to uncheck this tweets option here. If you're looking for like a specific beat, you can scroll through here and search for maybe a specific area within the US or within the world that you're looking, media outlet type, scope, location, language. As much as you can filter it down, it'll really help with the results that you get in the end. And once you're done with that, you'll just, of course, hit this save button. I'm not going to save it because this is just an example, but once you've saved it, you'll then just get an email from Muck with all of those articles and other relevant news that they have pulled for you using your alert on the day again that you selected, if it's every Monday or if it's every 3 times a day. And once again, you can always go back to your alert. If you had it set up for 3 times a day, but now you only want it once a week, you can always just go back to the alerts tab, find your alert, and then change it in here. I just hit someone else's, so I'm going to go back as to not mess that up. But yeah, that is pretty much it, folks. Hopefully this was helpful for everybody. If you have any questions, as Lene noted earlier, this help button, this little widget at the bottom over here is really great. You'll get a Muck representative within seconds, and they usually reply pretty quickly and get those issues resolved for you pretty quickly. But as you can see, just through clicking the search bar, automatically a lot of really helpful blogs will pop up for you that could answer your question on the spot. So just scroll through here, lots of great options too. But if your question is still not resolved with a Muck Rack representative here, please just reach out to Lene and I. You'll have our emails. We're happy to assist and help you get those questions answered. And we can also connect you with the Muck Rack, our Muck Rack representative, if that is helpful as well. So yeah, I think we're gonna wrap it up, but thank you again. And please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions.